went to the Georgia Ren Fair twice this year and had two very different experiences. This is mostly about the amazing time I had on Pet Friendly Weekend, but I'll let you know all the terrible things that happened on Cosplay Weekend too, which was my original pick to go, but when I found out my friends were going on Easter Sunday, I jumped right in to attend the Church of Pirate Shirts. There was one problem though. They had pub crawl tickets, and by the time I found out about the trip, they were sold out. But we soldiered on with a hope and a prayer to the gods of the Ren Fair that they sold tickets on site, and I got up at 6 a.m. because the one thing I wasn't going to do was sit in the terrible traffic that plagues Fairburn, Georgia when the Ren Fair opens its doors. The problem isn't the parking lot. Parking lot is absolutely gigantic. The problem is Fairburn and the lack of anybody doing anything to help the flow of traffic. There's usually only one cop right at the turn for the parking lot, but that's it. And that becomes a problem when the traffic backs its way out into neighborhoods, through traffic lights, through exits off highways where people just straight up cut in line, and you get stuck for hours, which did happen to us on Cosplay Weekend because we didn't get up at 6 a.m. But what's a little traffic when you've got a murder to solve by playing June's Journey, the sponsor of today's video? June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game, so it's the classic struggle of trying to find that last object in the photo. There's the vase. I found it. But it's more than just finding objects, because it has a really captivating detective story that engrosses you in the glamour of the 1920s. Each scene that you solve gets you one step closer to solving the murder mystery, which follows June Parker as she tries to figure out who killed her own sister. Without a badge or a forensic lab, and only her emotional intelligence and your ability to find objects to help her. The story is constantly evolving, and it has themes of motherhood, betrayal, and social injustice, and they add new chapters every week. Plus, you get to decorate your own little island, and it's got in-game events, and you can even join a club and play with your friends. It's free to download, it's on iOS, Android, and even PC, so check out the link in my description or the QR code on screen right now to download June's Journey today. But on Dog Day, I got to take my time in the traditional Ren Fair ritual of putting on all the stuff I didn't want to wear in the car and putting my elf ears on upside down. Anyway, this is Potatoes, the potato farmer. Her name is Potatoes because I spelled potato wrong on the bag I made. Shout out to my BFA in graphic design. I drew myself the X height line and then spelled an 8-letter word wrong. Plus, the Dog Day vibes were just incredible. On my way to find my friends, I got 2 random compliments from the same person.
How's your potato sack?
Thank you. Thank you, you do too. I found my friends, and we all got to admire their car neighbor's far superior pregame setup. We sipped on mysterious coffee cups on our very short stroll up to the gate, since we had really good parking spots because we got there really early. But on Cosplay Weekend, we got there much later, so we had to park so far away that we really got to feel just how gigantic this parking lot is.
I love you, Mr. Cow.
There was a line all the way through to the back of the parking lot for some reason, but this is not even actually the line to walk in. People think that it is, but it's not, because when you get to the actual entrance, staff members are constantly having to tell people to get out of that line and go over to any of the several short lines to get in. The long line is like herd behavior. It's not a real line. And even when we got to the gate, it wasn't nearly as magical as Dog Day. Because while there were dogs, as expected, there were also cats, and we ended up waiting in line right next to Shoes, the pirate cat, and his little stroller boat. But as we got closer to the entrance, the anxiety was starting to build, because while I had my ticket for the fair in my pocket, I still had no ticket for the pub crawl. And if I didn't get one, then I'd have to wander Newcastle alone, a farmer with only her potatoes for warmth. But I scanned my ticket, at least knowing I had that, and we headed in. So, the Georgia Renaissance Fair is a big blob shape, but its dedicated buildings form a loop within the block. My favorite area used to be the backside of the fair where the petting zoo used to be because it was the most open and it was flanked by the 2 best food courts. But if we did get those pub crawl tickets, it would be taking us to the 3 large pubs and keep me far away from the defunct petting zoo. But for now, our first stop on the dusty dirt path was actually the information booth, with a lady that was going to tell us where we needed to go to see about my pub crawl ticket. She sent us over to the Brewers Pub and a big sign that said pub crawl, and as we stood there, admiring the bubble machine outside, we asked if there were any available spots left. Would I get to experience the delights of the $50 pub crawl with my friends? Would I get that sick 40th anniversary mug? Or would I be sent out alone, cursed to forever look on from the outside with no pubs or crawls for this potatoes? Turns out they do actually sell pub crawl tickets the day of, and because we were in an opening, I got me a wristband, a sick-ass mug, and this farmer was officially part of the 115 pub crawl crew. But there would be no drinks until afternoon because it's Georgia. They don't let you sell alcohol on Sundays until afternoon. No, really.
I can't name the video my friends abandoned me at the Ren Faire. Why? Oh, because we didn't.
Cosplay Day's gate entrance was just sad, though, because the second we walked in,
And it's raining.
the rain started. We brought umbrellas and hats big enough to protect us, so it wasn't a huge deal when it continued to rain on us on our immediate trip to the bathroom. And thankfully, the fair pays the extra money for the fancy porta potties with flushing toilets. Some stalls even have sinks and mirrors. But we did have to wait in line in the rain, which was sad. But I had toilets and sadness on the brain on dog weekend too. Because with my new mug in hand, we went over to what used to be Oma's Kettle Court, which I miss dearly, but it has been replaced by a beignet/coffee shop, but I kept calling the beignets bidets for some reason.
Look at all the dogs.
That's not a dog, that's a child. We don't film that. Oh, the beignets. Okay, I'm very sad that that's not the kettle corn lady anymore, but I will take bidets in its place. Are they going right for the bidets? Oat milk.
They do also have a cute flower wall over here, which means I got my first good shot of potatoes. So please let me tell you about these potato props because I love them so much. These potatoes are grocery bags covered in tinfoil and foam clay with wire shoved into them. And then I just painted them to be potatoes and took an awl and poked at them a couple times so they had the little potato marks. The roots are just some leaves that are sacrifices from that bouquet of fake flowers in the Animal Crossing cup in the background of my videos. I ripped all the leaves off and now these are roots, and then I tied some fresh flowers on that morning. And with my tactical garter loops, Breath of the Wild link belt, and trusty sun hat, my harvest is full of the greatest food on earth. And I was gonna eat so many today. But with coffee in hand, we headed out of the opening area and into the blob proper, and after just one mysterious coffee cup, Pins was having fun.
I am feeling it, Mr. Krabs.
And to not let that mysterious orange juice get to me, I went to go find the fruits of my harvest and then struggled to find my friends because I told them I wanted a faraway shot of me getting the potatoes. Because they did a bunch of shots like that in Tip to Tip and I thought it would be funny. Then I didn't actually look at where they went, and then I kind of panicked for a second because the cell service is really bad, so if I lost them, I might actually be abandoned, but they were literally right in front of me.
Don't let her lie to you. My friends did abandon me. For potatoes, those look amazing. They give me ranch. They don't usually give me ranch.
Anyway, let me tell you who else is in this party. We've got Pins and Snip, who you know if you've seen any video of mine, but also Emmett and Parker, who was also vlogging and who I stole some footage from. So if you want to go see what they were all up to on Saturday, you can check out her vlog. Cosplay Weekend's crew was my sister and my fiance Joe. After our fun fountain group shot, we went to see Zoltan the Adequate, which was like this fire/magic show, but what I found more interesting was Pins breaking out an entire binder in the middle of the audience for some reason.
What even is this, though?
So this is my junk journal. I like going to Renaissance festivals and going to acts and writing down fun little things that made me laugh during the audience. So when I look back in like a year, I can like look at the page and be like, oh, that was so much fun.
Oh.
So when I go home, I'll add stickers and stuff.
And with an Adequate show finished, it was time to go shopping. We didn't go into this shop, but shout out to its name. That's hilarious. But we did head into the big costume shop at the front. This has got to be the biggest store in the Ren Fair, and they have a lot of stuff. There is some really cute stuff like these really nice bodices that wouldn't be too bad in Georgia's hot mouth weather, but they also sell like straight up wool coats. And I don't think anyone would want to buy this in hot weather. Like, you wouldn't want to carry this around even. Like, you're kind of wasting your space with these. No one, what? Why do you sell this? Sell more pirate shirts. They could be using the space to sell things that you actually use at the fair, like how this fan stall got me to buy this wicker fan and made me want to ditch my stained sun hat so bad that I went home and made a brand new straw witch hat. This is Typha braid. Rattan braid is more common for hats, but I wanted this quickly, so I found the chunkiest braid I could so that it wouldn't take forever to cover my shoulders. Because all you do is spiral this stuff and hand sew it together. I used the biggest needle I had and the strongest thread, and there's probably some stuff you're actually supposed to use, but these worked. I did cheat a little bit and used some hot glue on the slouchy part, but I could not get away with that on the brim because you have to heat shape the brim to make it sit flat, and you cannot iron hot glue. But you can cover hot glue with potatoes. I love this thing so much. I have been wanting a smaller, like, non-wool version of Ronnie's hat for a while, and I am so proud of Potatoes for becoming a potato witch. And while I love this hat, and I did get some compliments on it, one lady walked up to me and just said, "I love potatoes," but she surprised me because I was reading the map trying to figure out where the mac and cheese on a stick might be. So my regular human interaction brain had not kicked in, and I just said, "Thank you. Thank you for loving potatoes, I guess." But this hat wasn't the best for rain. It would have been great for the sun, but because I made it so quickly, it wasn't as tightly sewn as it should have been. So the rain would frequently just slip through its cracks and hit me in the face. Also, don't cheat with the hot glue either, because it created a hard lump that wore on my head all day. And now I have to make sure it dries properly or it will literally rot. Dog Day continued with a trip back to the bidets for another coffee for Emmett, and even as we just waited around for the pub crawl to start, Dog Day continued to prove how magical it was.
It's a little orange kitty.
Oh!
What's their name? Cheez-It.
His name is Cheez-It.
The cat's name is Cheez-It.
His name is Cheez-It.
Cheez-It. Cheez-It the dragon cat.
What a magical day.
But it was about time for our pub crawl, so we went back to the Brewers Pub to stand in the shade and wait, which was a great idea because it gave us a fantastic view of dogs and bubbles.
Tiny dog, very tiny dog. People in the way of the tiny dog. Very tiny dog, very tiny dog. Corgis and bubbles. People's crotchicles. There's the corgis and the bubbles. I don't mean to be filming people's crotches. I'm trying to film the corgis. Oh, the pug in the stroller. Oh my god.
Literally drink and watch dogs all day and be totally content.
I'm gonna have so much footage of dogs and bubbles.
But it was a bad idea in that we were actually supposed to be going to the other side of the pub to go sit on the deck, and by the time we figured that out, everybody else in the crawl, and some people that were not in the crawl, were already in there, and there was already very little room, so we just kind of stood there while they announced This is also where I noticed a very good husky that was in our pub crawl group and that I filmed a lot of. But we also were kind of panicking now because our pub crawl hosts told us that this was a beer pub crawl. You have to drink beer. And several of us were like, oh no, we do not like beer. Did we just spend $50 to get drinks that we are now going to have to suffer through? But we were told to sit down, and it was so full that all we got was a small spot on the benches, but the people beside us didn't scoot over enough, so.
I only have one beat bunchy on the seat.
Suffice it to say, this first bar crawl stop wasn't great. I couldn't fit my entire butt on the bench. We were in the front row, and I had nowhere to put my cup down, and I was starting to wish that those tickets had been sold out. They do entertain you with live music, though, which was good because Pins and I didn't end up getting our drinks handed to us until after the first number. I think because I had put soda in my mug, they just assumed I already had a drink and just completely ignored Pins. But we did eventually get them, and luckily, yes, you don't have to get beer. They do have a gluten-free option in it's cider, but you do have to lie to people and say you have celiac disease. I'm kidding. They don't ask if you have celiac disease. This song speaks for itself. I have to play it for you because I feel very attacked.
Sarah, working in a seafood shop.
It was a song about a Sarah that had all of these different jobs, but the bit is that the audience is supposed to be singing, and the words are tongue twisters that are meant to make you accidentally say curse words.
Working with a flock of ducks. What the f*** is happening?
It took me until this one to understand it.
All day long she calls and hunts. All day long she hunts and calls. I get it, and my name is Sarah. Surprisingly good.
But I shrank down into my strange half-sit, half-squat position on the edge of the bench as the entire room repeatedly called my name. It was weird.
Have fun.
I need you to know my name is Sarah.
With my one numb butt cheek out of its prison, we finally got to move on to the next bar. And hopefully a better place to sit. And hopefully maybe a table, maybe. So we followed our leaders and their big stick out into the fair.
It's hard to get a bad shot at the Ren Faire. It really is. Especially when there's dogs everywhere. Dogs everywhere.
But on the way, we ran into our friend Melanie, but we had to keep up. So I got a really quick shot of her and her doggy Cookie, the only dog I knew at the fair, before running back up to join the crawl.
It's not a Georgia Renaissance Festival if we randomly run into Melanie without waiting for it.
And she knocks my hat off and f***s up my hair. Can I?
Funnily enough, I did actually plan to see Melanie on Cosplay Day, and she did not make it. And while the pub crawl had me happily following the leader to the next stop, Cosplay Day had me wandering around all over the place on a mission to find that fried mac and cheese on a stick. We started right outside the King's food court, and I led everybody over to the fountain because I hadn't seen a sign for it at either of the two large food courts, and I figured that it could be at Sir Munchalot, which objectively has the best food in the fair and the best name, but they didn't have it either. But when we asked somebody working at one of the bars over here, they told us to cross the bridge and go towards a sign that said turkey legs. They said there was not a sign for the mac and cheese, so we got it in our heads that this was like a secret menu item. This shot, by the way, demonstrates how Ed, and Eddie's summer rains, you can never predict them. This rain is. Every time I would get the umbrella uncarabinered and it would stop raining. But we got to the turkey leg sign, which was exactly where we started, and I get in this long line, not even knowing for sure if the thing I wanted would be there, so I actually fully got out of line, totally giving up, only for Joe to give me the "you made an entire loop of the fair only to give up now" pep talk that I needed to get back in the now longer line, only to see that it is not a secret menu item. The sign is just really small. But then when I did get them, they weren't even on a stick. And they were meh. They tasted like cheddar mozzarella sticks. And I guess I like the pasta part of mac and cheese more than the cheese because this was not worth the journey we took to get them. Dog Day's journey was worth every step though, because the next location was the Drunken Monk. But they took us around to a private area behind the bar for our private R-rated show. Yes, the R rating was made into a pirate joke, because of course it was. So at each bar they did this little challenge game, and this one was an insult challenge that Snip got to do and got to lose. And the show that followed was in fact R-rated, and I cannot play you some of the songs because one of them was just about f***ing, but this was our favorite performance, our favorite band, and it had our favorite song that I can't not play for you.
You're doing great. We're proud of you. You had 3 coffees and no water and coffees and no water and a dozen kinds of food. Don't need sunscreen or a parasol or comfortable shoes. When you're day drunk at the Ren Faire and your friends are sick of you.
We loved this so much. This band is called Shenanigans, and we went and found their Facebook, and they do have a demo of this song on their Bandcamp, and I have linked it in the description. Please enjoy it. We loved them, and I love this song, and it's very stuck in my head.
So the pub crawl is just going to call out each of us one at a time.
One at a time.
At each location. Who is next?
They also signed Pins' journal, and
You think I can read that?
Do arson. Do arson.
I've had 2 coffees at the Ren Faire and no water. That chorus?
it is apparently a pub crawl rule that you shush on this bridge. I think this is supposed to be like a railroad crossing and a school bus joke, but I'm not actually sure.
I'm gonna have to get this fish.
Clear footage.
I can go be sad at what used to be the petting zoo.
The bar crawl kept me from going over and seeing the defunct petting zoo and being sad, but nothing stopped me on cosplay weekend, and I did my traditional go over there and be sad by the lack of sheep. This area is now taken up by the reptiles, which is fine. Snakes are cool. It's just weird to think that this guy sits where the bunnies used to. And unfortunately for me, the best part of the reptiles, the turtle, wasn't even over there when we walked over. But this area wasn't a total bust because while we were admiring the new dungeon museum, I noticed that we had chimney cakes here at home. I got introduced to them last year at the Carolina Ren Faire, and they're apparently a traditional Hungarian street food, which I got told many times in the comments of that video. And when I asked the chimney cakes people if it was okay if I filmed the food, they made the fire go real big for me, which was just so nice of them. But then I tried it.
The Carolina Ren Faire one is better.
I think this one was less good because here there's an option to get Nutella or ice cream inside. So getting one without that made it kind of dry. I think it would probably be good with the ice cream or the hot dog that you can get inside of it. I wonder if that's traditionally Hungarian.
Are you a furry, Parker?
I sit strictly in cat girl.
We arrived at our final bar and scrambled for a standing table that happened to be where our dog friend had settled to. And after a long day of admiring this good girl's eyes, we all finally got to pet the husky. And I finally told these people I had been filming their dog and they were cool with it. It's a dog. But then it was time for the last Chug the Drink challenge, which Pins got to participate in. They had a cordial opponent, and it seemed like a fair match, but when I tell you, this felt like watching the body lip sync, and Pins was morphine.
We're so proud. You didn't just win. You like I feel like we just saw a murder. Do you have anything you want to say?
I hate beer, and if you drink it faster, you don't have to taste it as often.
Are you proud?
And we celebrated this massacre with dancing and more drinks for some, but not for me, because I couldn't even manage to finish any of them by the time we got to the next place, that I kept having to pour them into each other. So I had a mysterious cider mix in my cup by the end. But I also saw a person with a cat on their shoulders. And what I thought was potatoes, but it was actually seashells, because the cat is a mermaid. But then we caught sight of something even more incredible.
Did you see the Appa dog?
No.
Oh my god, and it's Aang! Oh my god!
Aang was apparently waiting for some friends and could not both get the doggies water and hold on to them. So Parker got Pins to get water from the pub, and then we got to give them water. It was magical. Appa's name is Coda, by the way, and his shy brother's name is Baloo. And Coda's Appa fur was just clipped onto him with hair clips. How smart is that? And on our way out of the pub, Pins got so much praise from their brand new fan club.
You have a fan club! You have a fan club!
Overall, I don't know if the pub crawl is worth it. It was worth the money to us. It's $50 for 3 drinks, private shows, you get to be chauffeured around the fair, and those are all things you can do on your own if you plan it, but it is worth the special experience, and you get to have a day where you don't have to think about what you're doing at the Ren Faire. You're just following people around. It's pretty cool. We enjoyed it. But with our pub crawl finished, we went straight to the food. I went for a waffle to soak up the suds, but I was not expecting the waffle to be 90% whipped cream.
Oh my god.
I wasn't mad about the whipped cream, but it immediately turned into a mess because we were feeling it, Mr. Krabs.
Oh, holy shit, what is that?
There's chocolate everywhere.
It's a Belgian waffle. If you looked at my face.
No, it's great.
Oh, they're going that way.
Yep. Yeah, you're killing it. You're killing it. You're doing a great job. Get that ketchup. You got this.
I'm gonna be sticky. I'm gonna be so sticky.
You have a birthmark on your neck, or is that chocolate somehow?
It's chocolate. Come here, babe. It's chocolate.
This area, by the way, is also the best to show you the drastic crowd difference between Easter Sunday and a regular Saturday. Even with the rain, this area is usually absolutely packed with people. We had suspected that Easter Sunday in the Bible Belt would mean that most people were home hunting eggs, but I did not expect this much of a difference. It was awesome. There were no lines for anything. There were dogs everywhere. It could not have been more magical, even with my sticky hands. We did try to go to the bathroom to fix the stick, but to Parker's dismay, we got caught by the alluring smell of pickle juice and the promise of a $1 pickle shot.
Do you have $1?
I have to pee.
Yes, they're taking shots of literal pickle juice, like vinegar. It's a vinegar shot. Probably good for you. I feel like the Europeans watching this are gonna be way more weirded out that Georgia doesn't sell alcohol until noon on Sunday than they are going to be by two people taking shots of pickle juice. I feel like the pickle juice is gonna be more normal to the Europeans. Anyway, cosplay day had a pretty disappointing ending. In between visits, I noticed that Georgia Ren Faire has a Birds of Prey show, and I got it in my head that they had the same one as Carolina, so I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get to see Ziggy again. But this one is run by a different group, and while it's still a cool show with many birds, there is no vulture to steal my heart or my turkey legs. But its biggest problem was actually a symptom of the rain, I think, because it didn't sound like the performer was mic'd up, which would have been fine if this stage wasn't so close to the log ride that had people screaming at the top of their lungs.
What I'm about to do, and all that is just walk out.
But after grabbing a giant and delicious cupcake to take home, we went over to get some bidets and caught the end of the dog show, which weirdly had a different kind of bird to steal my heart. Julia, the Renaissance duck. The dogs were pretty cool though. They pulled a tiny one out of a chest, they ran up 2 different ladders, and they had the funniest tip bucket plea.
For just $5 in the hat.
And in the end, I traded my tip money for the Julia trading card they sell. But even with the rain, cosplay day was pretty fun too. Just way more crowded and wet and cold, and well, there were some dogs at the end. We didn't get to pet them, so we headed out. Okay, it's not like cosplay day was a disaster. I still had fun with my literal family, but dog day ended with forging bonds in bronze by going to the stamp necklace stand. So I sat on the grass ripping off my elf ears because my knee is actually still messed up. I'm waiting on an x-ray. Y'all know how it is. But several of my friends have these Ren Faire stamped coin necklaces. They have these at many different Ren Fairs, but you choose 2 different designs and they stamp it there for you. And all of my friends have the Triquenta on one side and a design to represent themselves on the other. And it was time for me and Emmett to join the fold.
One of us. One of us.
So while Georgia didn't have any fae to steal me away, my own friends inducted me into the cult of chosen family. And because I was so impressed by all the good behavior from all the dogs of Dog Day, I have to give my last shout out to all these good boys.
We're proud of you. Woo! 3 coffees and no water and a dozen kinds of food. Don't need sunscreen or a parasol or
I want to see their set.
shoes. When you're day drunk at the Ren Fair and your friends are sick of you.
Thanks Thanks again to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. Remember, you can download it totally free by using the link in my description or the QR code on screen. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel directly, you can check out my Patreon, where you'll get some exclusive content. But if you're just watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, sending the video to a friend or your mom, please subscribe, then you're supporting the channel too, so thank you. If you want some extra content that's just me yapping and it's absolutely free, you can check out my second channel, where I re-upload my Patreon streams after they've been out for a year. But biggest thank you to my newest big support tier patrons: Elizabeth K. Stella, Maybe It's Jacinda, Whimsy Bellicos, Anna Capella, Crystal, Eege 2007 Gaming, Vamp Barbie 76, Fallen Ashen 222, Emma, Zach, Steph, Thomas, Doku Face, Starstruck Spirit, Eden Shrum Dan, Stage Lights, Elliot, Hopsy, Tora Doran, Stephanie with a Y, Stephanie with an IE, Christy, Noodle, Rachel, Red Pelican, Fluffy Rizzo, Princess Mousy, Astrally Plural, Reggie, Fiona the Sparrow, Crystal Ball, Sentiment Lemon, Amelia, Caden, Madeline, Asher Lavender, Ake Cost, Sophia, the Gregster, and Rem VR. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
June's Journey 2025.
Did you say Jude's Journey?
That's who's sponsoring this video.